But what we learn right here is that as Abraham agrees to this covenant that Abimelech wants to make, we learn that for the Christian, as much as possible, we should seek to live at peace in this world where we are strangers and pilgrims. So throughout Scripture, God calls on his people to maintain a good witness in the world. We already saw this in terms of telling the truth and keeping our promises, but it also applies to how we interact with the government and the civil laws over the land that we live in. When the early Christians were living in Rome, they were subject to major persecution. Many times they were arrested. Many of our early brothers and sisters were martyred. And yet, over and over again, the apostles of the time were writing to them, encouraging them not to buckle the system, but to obey the laws of the land. In fact, Romans 13:1, Paul said, "Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God." So as Christians, we should seek to maintain peace as much as we can. Now, are there exceptions to this rule? Well, there's always exceptions to every rule, right? If maintaining peace comes at the cost of us losing our witness, right? Then that's an exception. If maintaining peace has with it a compromise of our faith, then that too is an exception. When the government puts laws in place that call us to forsake the Lord in order to honor the government, then that for the Christian is a call to action. And that's precisely why those early Christians were martyred, by the way. Their government was seeking to get them to compromise, and when they stood firm for Christ, they lost their lives. Persecution comes when Christians who want to seek peace hold steady to God's dictates. The truth is, it isn't Christians who are trying to rock the boat. It's the Christian who's trying to maintain peace. Christians have been called to pray for the government. Christians have been called, and that's hard to do sometimes, isn't it? Because we don't like the people a lot of times that are running things. And yet we're told, pray for them. Pray for them. All this to say, when persecution comes, and it will, let it come because we are standing for the Lord. Not because we're trying to disrupt things. Let it come because we are maintaining peace, but we are standing for the Lord. Are we willing to be good citizens? Absolutely. We should be the best citizens in this country. And yet, if being a good citizen of the world means a staggered walk with Jesus, then let us stand firm no matter what. Abraham is keeping the peace here. And yet what happens next is very telling. Because keeping the peace does not mean being a pushover, right? Because you have to walk in truth. Look what Abraham does in verses 25 and 26. Then Abraham, what does it say? Rebuked Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had seized. And Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, nor had I heard of it until today. What does Abraham do? He speaks truth. He holds to integrity. But the greater lesson for us is how important it is to speak up when things need to be brought out. To not be afraid, especially when it comes to protecting our families. That's what Abraham's doing. Often people equate being a Christian with being weak. And yet Jesus was never weak, ever. I mean, Jesus called the religious leaders a brood of vipers. Jesus called them sons of Satan. There's nothing weak about that. And in the book of Nehemiah, as they were rebuilding the wall and the enemy was coming against them, Nehemiah exhorted all the builders. In Nehemiah 4:14, he said, do not be afraid of them. He said, remember the Lord, great and awesome, and fight. Fight for your brethren. Fight for your sons. Fight for your daughters. Fight for your wives. Fight for your houses. Jesus was bold to speak truth, just as Abraham is bold to speak truth, just as Nehemiah was bold to speak truth. I mean, he rebukes the king. Are you kidding me? Speaking truth? But we have to remember, even when we have to rebuke somebody, it has to be done from a place of understanding that we are Christ's representative to whoever it is we are speaking to. In other words, we can't lose our temper. As the Apostle Paul says in Ephesians 4:15, speak the truth in love.